The rain-slicked streets of Seattle gleamed under the sodium glow of streetlights as I hit send, my heart pounding like a drum in some underground club I'd never dared enter. It was meant for Liam, that fleeting hookup from the app whose profile promised no strings, just a night to drown out the ache of being 21 and still hiding who I really was. But in the blur of my thumb slipping on the screen, the photo, me bare and bold in the dim light of my bedroom mirror, hurtled into the wrong chat. Jordan Hale, my dad's oldest friend, the man who'd watched me grow up from awkward kid to this shadowed version of myself. I stared at the phone, the blue ticks mocking me from the void as nausea twisted in my gut like a riptide pulling me under. Jordan, with his easy laugh and those hazel eyes that always lingered a second too long at family barbecues. The one who taught me to throw a curveball and fix my bike when Dad was too buried in work. How do you unsend a piece of your soul? I bolted upright in bed, the sheets tangling around my legs like accusations, whispering frantic apologies into the dark. Delete it. Pretend it never happened. But deep down, in the electric hum of regret, a forbidden spark flickered. What if he saw me, really saw me for the first time? The next morning dawned gray and unforgiving, the kind of Seattle drizzle that seeps into your bones and makes you question every choice. I dragged myself to the kitchen, where Dad was already nursing his black coffee, scrolling through emails on his laptop. Mark Thompson, ever the stoic architect, with his salt-streaked hair and calloused hands from years of drafting dreams into steel and glass. "Morning, kiddo," he mumbled without looking up, the nickname a relic from when I was small enough to hoist onto his shoulders. I forced a smile, my phone burning a hole in my pocket like contraband, every buzz a potential grenade. By noon, the silence from Jordan was deafening, a void that echoed louder than any reply could. I wandered the halls of our modest queen and bungalow, the one Dad and I had rattled around in since Mom left for her new chapter in Portland 5 years back. Posters of indie bands peeled at the edges on my walls, a half-read copy of Audre Lorde's essays splayed open on my desk, words about loving fiercely in the face of erasure that I devoured in secret. Coming out to Dad? That was a bridge I'd burned before crossing, his casual homophobia slipping out in jokes over beers with the guys. That show's got all the rainbow agenda now. No, Alex, play it straight. Keep the peace. But peace shattered when my phone lit up during my shift at the indie bookstore downtown. A text from an unknown number. Jordan's, I realized with a jolt. He'd switched to a burner? No, just his personal line, one I'd never used. "Alex, we need to talk. Coffee? Pioneer Square, for PM." My stomach dropped, visions of confrontation flashing. His face twisted in disgust. Dad finding out, the fragile threads of our family unraveling like a poorly knit scarf. I almost ghosted him, let the rain wash away the mistake. But curiosity, that treacherous beast, clawed at me. What did he see in that photo? Not just skin, but the vulnerability I'd hidden, the curve of my hip, the tentative hope in my eyes. I showed up early, hood up against the downpour, heart hammering as I scanned the crowd at the corner cafe. There he was, at a corner table, broad shoulders hunched over a sketchpad, his fingers strong, veined from years of carpentry, smudging charcoal lines into something abstract and raw. "Alex." His voice was low, gravelly, like the rumble of a ferry engine cutting through fog. He stood, towering at 6'2", his leather jacket shedding droplets like tears. Those hazel eyes met mine, not with judgment, but something deeper, warmer, a flicker of recognition that made my knees buckle. We sat, the steam from our lattes curling between us like unspoken confessions. "About last night," he started, his gaze dropping to the table, then back up, steady as bedrock. "I deleted it. Right away. But, damn it, kid. Alex, I can't unsee you." The words hung there, heavy as the rain pattering on the awning outside. I braced for the lecture, the "you're like a son to me" line that would gut me worse than any rejection. Instead, he leaned in, voice dropping to a whisper that sent shivers racing down my spine. "You're not a kid anymore. And that photo, it wasn't just a mistake. It was beautiful, honest." My breath caught, the world narrowing to the flecks of green in his eyes, the way his Adam's apple bobbed as he swallowed hard. "I've been fighting this for years, watching you grow into you. And now, I can't stop thinking about it. About you." Time fractured in that moment, the cafe's murmur fading to white noise. Jordan Hale, the straight-arrow widower who'd buried his wife too young and thrown himself into building custom homes for Seattle's elite. The man who'd grilled burgers at our 4th of July parties and shared war stories with Dad over whiskey, was looking at me like I was the blueprint to his undoing. Jordan and my voice cracked, a flush creeping up my neck. "It was an accident. I didn't mean." "But I did." He cut in, his hand brushing mine across the table, electric as a live wire. "Mean to notice. Every time." The touch lingered, calluses rough against my skin, igniting a fire I'd only ever fanned in solitude. We talked then, haltingly at first, about his late wife Elena, how grief had carved hollows in him he'd filled with work, about my own quiet rebellions, the poetry slams I'd snuck to in Capitol Hill, the crushes on boys who'd ghosted me for fear of labels. Hours slipped by, the rain easing to a mist, and when we parted, his number burned into my palm like a promise. Text me. For real this time. That night, sleep evaded me, my body thrumming with the ghost of his touch. Dad was out late at his site meeting, leaving the house echoing with what-ifs. I scrolled through old photos, Jordan at my high school graduation, arms slung around Dad's shoulders, his smile easy but eyes always drifting my way. Had I imagined it? The subtle gifts. The leather-bound journal for my 18th birthday, inscribed with "To Alex, who sees the world in colors most miss." Or the way he'd linger after dinners, helping with dishes while Dad dozed in front of the game. Our conversations veering from architecture to the hidden queer history of Seattle's underground speakeasies. By dawn, resolve hardened in me like setting concrete. This wasn't just a fluke. It was a fault line cracking open, threatening to swallow the life I'd built on half-truths. I texted him, "Coffee again?" But somewhere quieter. His reply was instant. "Your call. Name the place." We met at Golden Gardens, the beach park where the Olympics loomed like silent guardians across the Sound. It was a Thursday evening, the sun dipping low in a rare break from clouds, painting the water gold. Jordan arrived with a picnic blanket and a thermos of spiked cider. "For the chill," he said, but his eyes said more. We spread out on the sand, the waves lapping like confessions, and, as the words flowed, so did the touches. His knee against mine, accidental at first, then deliberate. "You're brave, Alex," he murmured, passing me the cup, our fingers intertwining. Sending that, owning it even by mistake. I laughed, bitter-edged. Brave? Or stupid? Dad would kill us both. The mention of Mark hung between us, a specter in the twilight. Jordan's jaw tightened, shadows playing across his face. I've known Mark since college. He's my brother in all but blood. But this us, it's not about him. It's about finally breathing. We kissed then, under the arc of a sodium lamp flickering to life, his lips firm and tasting of cider and salt. It was tentative, exploratory, my hands fisting in his jacket, his palm cupping my jaw like I was fragile art. Fireworks burst behind my eyelids, not from the display over the Sound, but from the rightness of it, the way his body molded to mine, solid and unyielding. We broke apart, gasping, foreheads pressed together, the world reduced to heartbeats, sinking in the dusk. But paradise is fleeting in Seattle's fickle weather. As we packed up, my phone buzzed. "Dad, where you at?" Jordan mentioned, grabbing a beer later. "You in?" Ice flooded my veins. Jordan's face paled, the blanket slipping from his hands. "He doesn't know," I whispered, panic clawing up my throat. "About us. About anything." Jordan pulled me close, his breath warm against my ear. "We tell him when we're ready." "But Alex, this isn't a detour. It's the road I've been lost on." We drove back in his truck, the cab thick with unspoken fears, his hand on my thigh at anchor in the storm. Dropped at my door, I watched his taillights fade, the house lights mocking me with normalcy. Dad was in the living room when I slipped inside, feet up on the coffee table, a beer sweating in his fist. "Hey, son, Jordan said you two crossed paths today. Good guy, huh? Always looking out for you." His eyes crinkled in that fond way, oblivious to the bomb ticking in my chest. I nodded, throat tight, mumbling about the bookstore shift. Upstairs, I collapsed onto my bed, the scent of Jordan's cologne clinging to my skin like a secret tattoo. Days blurred into a clandestine rhythm. Stolen texts at odd hours, thinking of a laugh from him during lunch breaks. Hurried meetups in overlooked corners of the city. A mural alley in Fremont, where his back pressed against graffiti walls as we devoured each other. Late night drives along Lake Washington, windows down, his hand laced with mine over the gear shift. Jordan was a revelation, gentle in ways that unraveled me, fierce in the press of his body against mine in the shadowed back seat, whispering my name like a prayer. Yet the kitchen built like thunderheads rolling in from the Pacific. Dad started noticing the glow in my cheeks, the way I'd zone out mid-conversation. "You seeing someone, Alex? That girl from the cafe?" His assumption stung, a casual erasure, but I played along with a vague, maybe the lie sour on my tongue. Jordan, too, wrestled demons. Calls from mutual friends probing about his sudden smiles, the weight of his past vows clashing with this new gravity pulling him toward me. One evening, after a particularly heated rendezvous in his workshop, sawdust scented air thick with our gasps, tools scattered like fallen stars. He held me longer than usual, his chest heaving. "I love you, Alex," he said, the words slipping out raw and unpolished. Love. It crashed over me, terrifying and true, my own. I love you too, a damn breaking. But as we dressed, his phone rang. Dad's ringtone, an old blues riff. Jordan answered, voice steady. Mark, yeah, I'll swing by tomorrow. Alex doing okay. The normalcy of it twisted the knife. We were living in borrowed time, shadows in our own story. The gaykin escalated that weekend at Dad's birthday barbecue, the backyard alive with smoke from the grill and laughter from his crew of builders. Jordan arrived fashionably late, clapping Dad on the back, but his eyes sought mine across the lawn, a magnetic pull that made my palms sweat. A man the cooler, handing out beers, hyper-aware of every glance, every brush of shoulders in the crowd. Pass the tongs, kiddo, Jordan said, close enough for his breath to ghost my ear, the double entendre hanging like smoke. Disaster struck mid-toast, Dad raising his glass to family and friends who stick closer than blood. Our eyes locked over the rims, Jordan's hazel depths promising forever, and in that suspended heartbeat, my phone slipped from my pocket, skittering across the grass. It landed face up, the screen alight with his last text. Can't wait to have you again tonight. Gasps rippled. Dad's brow furrowed as he scooped it up, the words searing into the air like a brand. Alex. Dad's voice was thunder, confusion morphing to hurt as he thrust the phone at me. The party hushed, eyes darting like shrapnel. Jordan stepped forward, face ashen. Mark, it's not. But Dad whirled on him, betrayal etching lines deep. You? My best friend? With my son. The words exploded, chairs scraping as guests averted gazes. I froze, the world tilting, my secret laid bare in the cruel light of day. Dad, wait, it's me. I'm gay. And Jordan. He sees me. The confession tore free, raw and ragged, years of silence shattering in one breath. Fists clenched, Dad stormed inside, the screen door slamming like a guillotine. Jordan reached for me, but I pulled away, tears blurring the wreckage. Fix this, I choked, fleeing to the side yard, chest heaving with sobs that racked my frame. Minutes later, Jordan found me slumped against the fence, his arms enveloping me in quiet strength. We'll face it together, he vowed, lips brushing my temple. The fallout was a tempest. Dad avoided us for days, his silence a colder rain than any Seattle storm. Work calls went unanswered. The house felt like a mausoleum, blueprints scattered like discarded hopes. I holed up in my room, replaying the horror, the love that had ignited it all now a fuse to destruction. Jordan persisted. Flowers on the porch, notes slipped under the door. You're worth every storm. One night, unable to bear the void, I drove to his place in Ballard, a converted warehouse loft overlooking the ship canal. He opened the door, disheveled in sweatpants, eyes red-rimmed. Alex. We collided, desperation fueling the kiss, bodies crashing onto the rug in a tangle of need and fear. He'll come around, Jordan gasped between breaths, his hands mapping my skin like sacred ground. Or we walk away, but I won't lose you. In the afterglow, curled against his chest, the beat of his heart a lullaby, I believed him for a moment. But doubt crept in with the dawn. Dad's truck was gone when I returned, a note on the counter. Need space. Love you, but this. I can't. Panic surged. I'd broken us irreparably. Jordan called a truce meeting at a neutral ground, the old diner in Georgetown where the three of us had shared countless pancakes. Dad arrived haggard, eyes shadowed, sliding into the booth opposite us. Talk, he grunted, nursing coffee black as his mood. Jordan spoke first, voice steady. Mark, I've loved you like a brother for 30 years. But Alex, you show me light I thought was gone. It's real. Dad's gaze flicked to me, softening infinitesimally. You hid this from me, son. Made me feel like a failure. Tears pricked my eyes. I was scared, Dad, of losing you. But Jordan, he makes me whole. The conversation stretched, raw edges fraying, then mending. Dad's apologies for the jokes that cut deeper than intended, his own buried pains from Mom's leaving, fears of failing me as a single dad. I just want you happy, he admitted finally, hand extending across the table. I grasped it, Jordan's fingers intertwining with ours, a circuit completing. Healing wasn't linear. Therapy sessions followed, awkward trios where we unpacked closets long shuttered. Dad warmed slowly, attending a pride event with us, his arm around my shoulders under the rainbow arch, Jordan's hand in mine. The Lang man deepened. Jordan proposed on that same beach at Golden Gardens, ring simple silver etched with waves, forever my anchor. I said yes, tears salting the sand. Years later, vows exchanged in a sunset ceremony overlooking the sound, Dad toasting with misty eyes to accidents that lead home. We built a life, a home of our own design, filled with laughter, art, and the quiet revolution of love, unapologetic. In the end, that mistaken sin wasn't ruin. It was revelation, proving that from the ashes of fear rises the truest beauty, loving boldly, wholly, human. The ceremony's echoes lingered like the salt on our skin as Jordan and I slipped away from the reception, the Seattle skyline twinkling like conspirators in our escape. Guests milled under string lights strung between evergreens, Dad holding court with stories of our wild youth, his laughter freer now, unburdened by the weights we'd all shed. At 25, I marveled at how far we'd come, from that rain-soaked blunder to this, vows etched in our bones, a ring warming my finger like a perpetual sunrise. Jordan's hand found mine in the dim path to the water's edge, his thumb tracing circles that sent familiar sparks dancing up my arm. "Mr. Hale Thompson," he teased, voice husky with the wine and wonder of it all. "Sound official." I pulled him close, the crash of waves underscoring our private toast. "Feels like a dream I never let myself have." His kiss was slow, deepening the promise we'd just voiced before God and family, a blend of tenderness and fire that still set my pulse racing after 4 years. Back home, our home, a craftsman cottage in Wallingford we'd restored together, beams groaning under Jordan's expert touch and my haphazard paint strokes. The real celebration began. We tumbled through the door, laughing as we kicked off shoes, the scent of fresh varnish mingling with the roses he'd tucked into every vase. "To us," he murmured, lifting me onto the kitchen island, his body slotting against mine like a key turned true. Lovemaking that night was reverent, exploratory. Hands were learning curves, whispers of mine breathed against sweat-damp skin. In his arms, I found not just passion, but peace, the kind that mends the fractures of a youth spent dimming my light. Morning brought coffee in bed, Jordan's sketchpad open to a new drawing. Us, intertwined on the beach, lines soft with affection. "For our wall," he said, kissing my shoulder. But beneath the bliss, an undercurrent stirred. Dad's recent diagnosis, a shadow on his lung scan that the docs called manageable, but we all knew better. Cancer, the thief that had taken Elena, now knocking at our door again. We'd rallied, of course, Jordan's steady presence at appointments, my voice reading aloud from Dad's favorite Tom Clancy novels during chemo waits. Yet fear gnawed, a quiet kitchen reminding us life's fragility. Weeks blurred into a rhythm of hospital runs and home-cooked meals, Dad's frame shrinking, but spirit unbowed. "You too," he'd rasp from his recliner, eyes twinkling despite the oxygen tube. Gave this old dog a new trick, acceptance. Jordan and I leaned on each other harder, stolen moments in the garden, where he'd pull me onto his lap under the arbor, burying his face in my neck. "How do we keep going if—" He'd whisper, voice cracking. I'd silence him with kisses, fierce and affirming. "We do it loving like always." The Gaken peaked one stormy autumn night, thunder rattling the windows as Dad's fever spiked. We rushed him to Swedish, corridors echoing with our frantic steps, Jordan's hand vice-tight in mine. In the ER bay, monitors beeping like accusations, Dad gripped my arm, gaze locking on Jordan. "Take care of him," he wheezed, a nod passing between them. Father to son-in-law, the bond forged in fire. We waded through the endless hours, curled together on a vinyl bench, my head on Jordan's chest, his heartbeat a metronome against the chaos. Dawn broke with good news. Infection cleared, treatment holding, but the scare etched deeper lines on our faces. Driving home, rain sluicing the windshield, Jordan pulled over at a viewpoint, the city sprawling below like a map of our battles won. "Marry me again," he said suddenly, half joking, pulling a velvet box from his pocket. A second ring, etched with "through every storm." Tears mixed with laughter as I slipped it on, our foreheads touching in vow renewal. "Every time," I promised. As winter gripped the city, Dad rallied enough for holidays. A trimmed tree in the living room, lights twinkling against frost-laced panes. We hosted, the table groaning under turkey and pie, toast flowing like the mulled wine. Dad raised his glass, voice stronger, to accidents the best kind. His eyes held ours, pride shining through the weariness. Jordan squeezed my knee under the table, a silent, "We made it." Spring thawed the fears, Dad scans clean, his garden blooming under our care. Jordan and I planted rows of lavender, symbols of peace, our hands soil-streaked and linked. Love, we learned, wasn't the absence of storms but dancing in them. Kitchen weaving through Cam's suck, Langman the thread binding it all. In quiet evenings, as sunset gilds the sound, Jordan pulls me close, whispering, Can't stop thinking about you. And I, Holt last reply, good. Don't ever. Yet even in the bloom of renewal, shadows lingered, subtle as the fog rolling off the canal. Dad's recovery was a tentative dance. Good days of fishing trips with Jordan where they'd bond over lures and lies about the one that got away. Bad ones where pain pulled him inward, leaving me to bridge the gaps with forced cheer. I threw myself into my writing, a novel brewing on my laptop about a boy who sends a photo into the abyss and finds his way home. Meta, maybe, but cathartic. Jordan supported it all. His workshop a sanctuary where I'd read drafts aloud, his critiques gentle, eyes alight with that unwavering belief. One crisp May afternoon, as I paced our porch with a fresh chapter, my phone buzzed. Not Jordan's familiar chime, but an unknown sender. A photo attachment. Me and Jordan at last year's Pride, arms linked under the arch, captured from afar. The message. Care to explain this to your old man? My blood iced. It was from Uncle Ray, Dad's estranged brother, the black sheep who'd cut ties years ago over family values clashes. How had he gotten my number? Panic clawed. Dad had kept our truth close, but Ray's venom could poison it all. I showed Jordan that evening, his face hardening as he scrolled. He's fishing for dirt. Probably saw it on socials. We debated telling Dad, but opted for caution, block and bury. Yet unease festered, a low hum under our days. Jordan, ever the protector, insisted on a weekend getaway. The San Juans, ferries cutting through emerald isles, cabins scented with pine. Reset, he said, packing the truck with coolers and kayaks. I clung to the plan, but Ray's ghost tagged along, texts escalating to voicemails. Mark deserves to know his boy's corrupted. The islands were balm, paddling side by side, salt spray kissing our faces, evenings on the deck with wine and stars. One night, fire crackling in the pit, Jordan knelt, not in proposal but plea. Marry me here now. Just us and the sea. No rings, just words. Vows renewed in the wild, his lips sealing them with salt and smoke. It anchored me, that raw intimacy, bodies entwined under quilts as waves sang lullabies. You're my compass, he breathed, fingers tracing my spine. No matter the storms. Back in Seattle, the tempest broke. Dad called us over, voice tight. Ray's been in touch. Says he saw pictures. My stomach plummeted. We'd shielded him, but blood called to blood. We arrived to find him in the kitchen, photos printed and splayed like evidence. Not just Pride shots, but older ones, grainy from my accidental send, somehow unearthed by Ray's digging. He thinks I'm blind, son. That Jordan's. Taking advantage. Dad's eyes, weary but fierce, bored into us. Jordan stepped up, shoulders squared. Mark, it's love. Pure as the day I fixed that damn bike. Dad rubbed his temples, the weight of brotherhood and fatherhood colliding. I know, but Ray's stirring shit, threatening to go public, family gossip mill and all. The kitchen surged. Ray, bitter from his own divorces, saw us as ammunition to reclaim his place. Calls flew, lawyers consulted, blocks reinforced, but the emotional toll mounted, Dad's health dipping under stress. I confronted Ray via video, screen glowing in our dim loft. Stay out of our lives, I said, voice steel despite the tremor. He sneered, face ruddy. Protecting perversion? Mark's a fool. Jordan's arm around me steadied the rage. We hung up, but the wound festered. Nights turned restless, Jordan holding me through doubts. Am I dragging you down? I counter with kisses, fierce. You're lifting me up. The climax crashed during a family mediation. Neutral ground at a cafe, Ray hulking across the table, Dad flanked by us. Words flew like daggers. Accusations of lifestyle choices, defenses of love's legitimacy. Dad, voice rising, slammed his fist. Enough. They're happy, Ray. More than you ever let yourself be. The air crackled, Ray's face purpling before he stormed out, door banging finality. In the aftermath, Dad hugged us both, tears unspoken. Proud of you boys. Ray faded to irrelevance, a cautionary tale of bigotry's isolation. Jordan and I emerged stronger, our bond tempered in trial. Langman rekindled in quiet victories, like the novel's first acceptance letter dedication. To Jay, who saw me first. As summer waned, we scattered Ray's ashes metaphorically, a bonfire on the beach, letters of release burning bright. Watching flames dance, Jordan's hand in mine, I felt the full arc, from accidental exposure to intentional embrace. Life's kitsch tin hadn't broken us. It had built a legacy of resilience, love's human value etched in every scar. Autumn leaves carpeted the streets in fiery protest as Jordan and I navigated the next chapter, Dad's health stabilizing into a watchful rhythm of checkups and triumphs. My novel hit shelves, a quiet indie release, but reviews trickled in like warm rain, praising its raw exploration of queer awakening. Book signings followed, small gatherings in cozy shops where readers shared their own accidental stories, eyes shining with kinship. Jordan beamed from the back, his presence a talisman, whispering post-event, "Told you, you're a force." Yet beneath the glow, a new tension simmered, fertility whispers. We taught kids in abstract, adopting maybe a little one to fill our home with chaos and joy. But Seattle's adoption world was a labyrinth, agencies probing our non-traditional union with veiled skepticism. Stability questions, one social worker noted, clipboard poised like a gavel. Jordan's jaw clenched at home. They see labels, not us. I massaged his shoulders, feeling knots of frustration. We'll fight. Like always. The process dragged, home studies invading our space. Caseworkers noting Jordan's tool shed as potential hazard. My writing nook as cluttered. Emotional toll mounted. Nights when doubt crept in, bodies seeking solace in tangled sheets. What if we're not enough? I'd murmur against his chest. He'd tilt my chin, eyes fierce. We are more than. One evening, after a rejection letter citing waitlist overflow, we drove to Discovery Park, trails winding through old-growth forest. The sounds roar a counterpoint to our silence. There, on a bluff overlooking the strait, Jordan unpacked a surprise. Adoption papers from a progressive agency in Portland, one that celebrated queer families. Fresh start, he said, kneeling in the duff, not for rings but resolve. Will you build this with me? Tears blurred the ink as I signed, our kiss sealed under cedars, wind whispering approval. Hope reignited, fragile but fierce. Gaken intruded via bureaucracy's bite. Interviews with birth parents, a young couple navigating their own storms, choosing us sight unseen. You sound solid, the mom said over video, her voice cracking. We prepared the nursery, Jordan's carpentry birthing a crib of reclaimed wood, my sketches adorning walls with whimsical beasts. Excitement built, a balloon swelling in my chest. Then the call, placement approved, a baby boy arriving in days. Panic and joy collided. Nursery frantic, dad enlisted for wisdom, his eyes misting over tiny onesies. Like holding you again, Alex. Jordan, and I paced the loft, breaths sinking in anticipation. The handoff was surreal. Hospital room sterile, the bundle swaddled and squirming into our arms. Elias. They named him after a ferry captain, his cries piercing the quiet, our hearts. Fatherhood crashed like waves. Sleepless nights, Jordan rocking the bassinet while I brewed formula. Dawn feeds blurring into sunrises where we'd trade bleary smiles. Look what we made, he'd say, cradling Elias, tiny fist clutching his finger. Dad visited often, Grandpa Mark, rumbling lullabies, his presence a bridge across generations. Love expanded, Lang man evolving. Jordan's touches lingering on my back during diaper changes, stolen kisses over crib rails. But Kitch 10 shadowed paradise. Elias's first fever. ER runs echoing dad scares, our fears amplified in the face of his vulnerability. One night, colic wailing, Jordan broke, tears streaming as he paced. Am I enough for him? I pulled him down, Elias between us, our family a warm knot. We're everything. As Elias cooed his first roll, giggle, step, we wove him into our tapestry. Pride floats with him in a rainbow sling, Jordan sketches capturing milky smiles. The novel's sequel brewed, inspired by this new chaos, dedication expanding. To J and E, my accidents turn miracles. In stolen moments, as Elias dreamed, Jordan drew me close. Can't stop thinking about our life. I smiled whole. Keep thinking. It's perfect. Winter's grip loosened into a tentative spring. Elias's laughter the soundtrack to our thawing world. At 2, he toddled through the cottage, chubby hands smearing paint on Jordan's latest commission. A mural for a local LGBTQ center, vibrant arcs of color mirroring our journey. Dad, cancer a receding specter, doted shamelessly, building block forts that rivaled his skyscrapers. Spoiling him rotten, I'd tease, but his grin said it all. Redemption in tiny hugs. My writing flourished, tours taking me to Portland readings where fans queued for signed copies, sharing how that nude scene sparked their own truths. Jordan joined when he could, Elias in tow. Our trio a beacon amid the crowds. Yet beneath the acclaim, a personal storm brewed. My 30th loomed, a milestone laced with introspection. Am I enough? I confessed one night, Elias asleep upstairs, Jordan's arms my harbor. Author, partner, dad, it's a lot. He kissed my doubts away. You're the plot twist I never saw coming. Perfect. The Gaken arrived uninvited. a rival author, slick and ambitious, unearthed my origin story in a podcast hit piece. From sexting scandals to shelf success, the clip went viral, trolls dredging the accidental send, twisting our love into tabloid fodder. Headline screamed, "Queer lit darlings daddy drama." Hate mail flooded, doubts Jordan's inbox. Predator, etched in vitriol. We hunkered down, Jordan's resolve steel. Let them talk. We're real. But the toll, carved deep. Sleep evaded, Elias's questions piercing. Why mad at Daddy Alex? Dad rallied, penning a public letter. My son and his husband built beauty from blunders. Haters, take notes. His words trended, a shield of paternal fire. I countered with a live stream, voice steady. That accident saved me, showed me love's messy grace. Views soared, allies amplifying, the backlash flipping to support. Jordan surprised me post-stream, dinner on the deck, steak and stars, Elias conked out inside. To scandals that sparkle, he toasted, then dropped to one knee, again, with a custom ring, Elias's handprint etched inside. 30 looks good on you. Marry me through it all. Laughter bubbled through tears as I yesed. Our dance under lanterns a vow against the noise. The podcast host apologized, peace retracted. My sales spiked, but the win was internal, resilience reclaimed. Summer bloomed with Elias's preschool debut, his backpack comically large, Jordan snapping photos through misty eyes. Our boy's a trailblazer, he said, squeezing my hand. We volunteered at the center, painting walls with families like ours, stories intersecting in shared hues. Dad joined, hammer in hand, bridging his world to ours. One golden evening, picnic at Green Lake, Elias splashing in shallows, Jordan turned to me. Remember that first coffee? Thought I'd combust. I grinned. Best burn ever. As ducks quacked approval, Love's Kitsch tin felt distant, replaced by enduring Cam's suck, a tapestry of trials woven into triumph. As Elias turned 5, his world expanded into school plays and scraped knees, our cottage a whirlwind of crayons and chaos. Jordan's business thrived, commissions for queer-affirming spaces, safe havens with nooks for stories like ours. I mentored young writers, workshops in Capitol Hill basements where kids unpacked their hidden selves, my scars badges of survival. Dad, robust now, captain grandfather duties, weekend adventures to the aquarium, yielding tales of fishy conspiracies. Yet life's undercurrents stirred. Jordan's restlessness, a creative itch unscratched since Elena's passing. Missed the raw stuff, he admitted over late-night scotch, sketchpad idle. Big projects pay, but souls in the small. I encouraged a pivot. Custom pieces for individuals, portraits capturing queer joy. His first commission, a couple's anniversary, intertwined figures in watercolor, eyes alive with the same spark he saw in me. The Kitsch tin ignited via an old flame. Elena's sister, Lila, visiting from Chicago, her grief thawed into curiosity about the new family. Dinner was cordial, Elias charming her with block towers, but undercurrents swirled. Her sidelong glances at Jordan, stories laced with remember when. Jealousy nipped, irrational but sharp. Was I intruder in his history? It peaked post-dinner, Lila lingering as we cleared plates. You look happy, Jordy, she said, hand on his arm, tone wistful. He stepped back gently. I am. With Alex. She nodded, eyes flicking to me. He's good for you. But doubt lingered, a thorn in my chest. That night, as Elias dreamed, I confronted. She still carries a torch? Jordan pulled me close. That flame died with Elena. You're the wildfire. His touch dispelled shadows, bodies reaffirming in the dark, slow, deliberate, love's language fluent. Lila's visit closed with a gift. Elena's old journal, pages of dreams unfulfilled. Jordan read it with me, tears salting ink. She'd have loved you, Alex. Wanted this for me. Closure mended fractures, his art blooming. A series of accidental loves, vignettes of chance encounters turned eternal, exhibited in a Fremont gallery. Opening night buzzed, patrons murmuring over canvases that echoed our story. A nude silhouette in rain, hazel eyes emerging from mist. Dad toasted, to seeing clearly. Elias, in tiny bow tie, declared at Daddy Jordan's Magic Pictures. Sales funded a family trip. Olympic Peninsula, cabins by the sea, hikes through rainforests where Elias chased fairies, Jordan and I stealing kisses behind ferns. One twilight, fireflies dancing, Jordan sketched us 3, Elias mid-laugh, my head on his shoulder. This is legacy, he said. I traced the lines. From one photo to 1,000 memories. The Lang man pulsed, Cam suck rich. Trials not endings, but chapters fueling the human heart's endless plot. Elias's 10th birthday dawned with balloons bobbing in the breeze, our backyard transformed into a pirate haven, Jordan's handiwork, complete with shipwreck swings and treasure hunts. At 35, I marveled at time's sleight, gray threading my temples like silver wisdom, Jordan's beard fuller, laugh lines etching maps of joy. Dad, silver-haired sentinel, manned the grill, his survivor, badge pinned proudly, cancer a footnote in his robust rewrite. The party swirled with neighborhood kids, rainbow flags fluttering from the mast, a nod to our pride roots. My latest book launched that week, a memoir weaving fiction with truth, nudes and revelations, climbing charts with endorsements from queer icons. Readings packed houses, Jordan and Elias my anchors, their cheers louder than applause. But beneath festivities, a subtle gay can brood. Elias's school project on family trees, his drawing branching us with Dad and ethereal Aunt Elena. Questions bubbled at bedtime. Why don't I have two moms like Tommy? We navigated gently, storybooks on diverse loves, emphasizing our tree's unique, strong. Jordan's voice steadied. Roots in love, branches in us. The climax crested during a parent-teacher conference. Teacher praising Elias's inclusive art, but hinting at peer curiosities. Home, Elias confessed tears from taunts. They said our family's weird. Heart-shattering, we held counsel. Ice cream therapy, Jordan sharing his weird kid tales, me reading from my book. Different to spark, I said. Dad arrived with props. Old photos of his misfit crew, proving kinships defy norms. Empowered, Elias let a class share. My dads are superheroes. One builds dreams, one writes them. Backlash fizzled into curiosity, alliances formed. Jordan channeled it into community, workshops for parents, his art facilitating dialogues on acceptance. As autumn deepened, we escaped to the San Juans again, cabin creaking under Elias's energy, kayaks slicing inlets. Evenings by the fire, stories spun, my accidental send retold as legend, laughter echoing. Jordan caught my eye over marshmallows, still can't stop thinking. I winked. Good, plot's just beginning. Years folded like pages. Elias's teens turbulent but triumphant, coming out as non-binary at 16, our arms open. Dad's 80th a bash of toasts and tears, his speech, from one dad's mistake to a lifetime of right. Jordan and I, silvered and sure, renewed vows yearly, beaches, lofts under stars. In the end, that nude wasn't folly. It was fate's flourish, inscribing a tale of kitsch tin conquered, Cam Suck cherished, Lang Man realized. Value in vulnerability, love, unhidden, illuminates the human soul's deepest truths.